Hello, Bullard Center Bill, Fisher Condarinji, Era Shero Bai, Bob and Wayne, you must say, what a pressure of a man that's not in way. This is Vitamo Simalapatia in Griko Beyond to make a bank. Kongati, Mabira Chete, all the way, Scotland border. Ya baba wangu ya banurua wangu
Welcome indeed. My name is Dennis Shoko. I'm here with Rukudzo Vengesa. We're standing in for Tatinda and Noxie.
Dennis, why aren't you dancing?
I'm not much of a dancer, Rukudzo.
Yeah, that's got nothing to do with it. The man has just set the tone for our episode. You're not even moving to the spirit.
I am doing my best. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Under a little bit of pressure. We have some exciting news this week. Tell us about Toyota Cup.
A massive news actually this week. Yes, Scotland have been recognized by one of the biggest clubs on the continent. Kaizer Chiefs, of course, as you know, one of the three biggest clubs in South Africa. They have a pre-season game called the Toyota Cup where they play against some of the bigger nations in Africa. Last 2 years ago is actually when it started in 2024. They started against Yanga from Tanzania, and then last year they played against Asante Kotoko from Ghana. This year they've decided to go for the Zimbabwean champions themselves. Yes, Scotland Football Club Maviravira will be playing Kaizer Chiefs on Saturday, July the 26th, 2026. That will be for the Toyota Cup. That game will be played at the Royal Bafokeng Stadium in Rustenburg. Don't forget that is one of the 2010 World Cup stadiums. So yes, it looks like Amakosi, as they're called in South Africa, have decided to recognize the greatness, shall we say, the trajectory of Scotland winning the championship here in Zimbabwe last season, their first season in the top flight, going for the CAF Champions League in August, and Kaizer Chiefs feel we are worthy of playing them in pre-season.
That has to be a top 5 monologue in the history of sports television. Congratulations, Rukudzo.
Much appreciated. Much appreciated.
We head to Around the League.
Royal Bafokeng is opening its doors once again and we're hosting the mighty Kaizer Chiefs. The big question, Jess, is who will Kaizer Chiefs be playing against?
Well, we're very deliberate in selecting the team, and I know you say people have crisscrossed the continent, and certainly that has happened, you know. And I'm excited and proud that we've brought a debutante, a team that is making waves in its league, in its country, a team that is just doing things differently, but at the same time building a legacy that I think is going to be exciting. And I'm proud to announce Scotland FC from Zimbabwe, who are going to be playing Kaizer Chiefs, building on our history with Zimbabwe and just the players that we've had coming out of Zimbabwe, and the great relationship we've had with the Zimbabwe nation. So congratulations to Scotland FC.
Scotland FC then confirmed as the official opposition of Kaizer Chiefs at the 2026 Toyota Cup. Football manager, now we know why you were in Zimbabwe. We saw you at the game against Caps United. They said you are there to scout. You're looking for 2-in-1, another special in Zimbabwe. Now we know why Bobby Mutawong was in Zimbabwe a couple of days ago.
No, but every time Bobby's in Zimbabwe, he comes with gems. So thank you, Bobby. Well done. Well done.
Following up from that 2-0 victory over Caps United when they scored inside the first 12 minutes, Scotland then hosted Herentals. Of course, in the Kosoga Premier League, Herentals, the surprise packages, they were top of the table, level on points with Scotland actually at the start of that game. But Knowledge Musona scoring 2 goals right in the first 20 minutes. A very good finish from a layoff from Walter Musona. It was a headed pass pretty much. And then Knowledge managed to find the roof of the net. And then he came through with the trademark free kick right into the top corner, right from the edge of the box. I think everyone in terms of Zimbabwean football knows Knowledge Musona is a free kick specialist. He lived up to that billing once again. So that was pretty much the game done inside the first 20 minutes. From there, Scotland were just controlling matters in midfield. Their defense actually stood up to scrutiny in the second half. Herentals came for them, actually showed exactly why they're one of the highest scoring teams in the league this season. But the fact that Scotland have now conceded just 6 goals in 16 games showed up once again. That defense managing to hold out and ensuring that 3 points came the way of Maviravira. So that's now at 4 wins in their last 5 games. It's starting to look rather like Ndlovu and Panashe is getting the right tunes out of his players, the combinations, the chemistry is there, and they're now starting to brush teams away. Very early goals, and then control the match from there.
Kwake are just decoys. We all know who's taking this one. So the Musona versus Takarinda show continues from another set piece. Knowledge finds the second goal. Oh, he's on fire today. And Takarinda is beaten yet again. For the second time this afternoon is the man on form. Knowledge Musona sitting on a brace. Another bright start. 2 goals inside the opening 20 minutes for Scotland.
Caps United needed a late penalty from Ishmael Wadi to actually win the game. That penalty coming from a controversial handball. We understand Kelvin Guao, that is of course the ZPC Kariba defender. He was trying to pull his arm away. It was actually out of the natural silhouette of his body, so that actually could have been given as a penalty, but he was actually trying to move his arm away and the ball brushed his arm. Letter of the law states that the referee needed to actually point to the penalty spot, but it was harsh for me. But I guess you can say in the end maybe he got the right decision. But earlier on, before the in terms of ZPC Kariba's second equalizer, there was an incident there where Caps United goalkeeper Wallace Magalani was dilly-dallying with the ball at his feet. He tried to pick it up, and that's when we had Kudza Ngwende, that is the ZPC Kariba striker. He poked the ball out of his hands and then into the back of the empty net. So there was a bit of a debate whether the goalkeeper was actually in control of the ball or not before Ngwende kicked it out of his hands. Again, very debatable, but the referee decided to let the goal stand. So there was a bit of a discussion there in terms of should the referee have allowed that goal to stand or given the penalty. Look, across the season, every single week, there's some referee who's making a mistake or a very controversial decision. I guess it goes to show you that, yes, I think at this point, Zimbabwean football needs the introduction of VAR. The money is not there. The technology is not there. So we're going to have to just try and improve the standards of refereeing. But yeah, the fact that there's always a debate every single week is worrying.
And then Mr. Onana Pro Max. Hey. And then, as I say that, Kudza Ngwende scores with a mistake, a howler from Mr. Onana himself. He's looking at the referee. Look, the composure there. So look at that replay. He's looking for the players, going to get the ball in. Well, yeah, I think he had the ball in his hands.
Did you?
I think he had the ball in his hands there, and he's looking for a free kick.
Recently got a draw against Scotland.
Kudza Ngwende there, and it comes through. They're appealing for a handball. The referee decides it is a penalty. Well, it took his time there. Kamurai's got his hands in his head. He's wondering what in the world just happened here.
I think at the end of the whole ownership saga, I think Manica Diamonds now have a bit of stability. Their players know that they're going to get their salaries, and that is what is now maybe improving their performances. On over the weekend against Dynamos, they actually did very well to salvage that point. They had taken the lead, but then Dynamos went ahead through goals from Frank Ajemang as well as Moses Demera, and looked like they were heading for a big 3 points on the road there at Sakuba Stadium. But yeah, when you hear Genesis Mangombe, the Dynamos head coach, after the game, he complained about the referee adding 8 minutes of injury time at the end, and that's when Charles Teguru managed to equalize in the 97th minute there, denying Dynamos the 3 points. A lot of Dynamos fans very disappointed with the game management. We're talking about Scotland now, scoring 2 very early goals and then controlling the match from there. Dynamos could not do the same, and a lot of fans thought that Genesis Mangombe or the players bear the brunt of the blame for failing to actually close out their game. Conceding 97th minute is always painful. But yes, for Manica Diamonds, the improvement is very palpable. Now they're third bottom. They're still working their way out of the relegation trouble, but it looks like if they continue in this vein of form, they certainly won't be in trouble come the end of the season. I don't see any kind of title challenge from Highlanders, given the fact, yes, as you said, they've only conceded 9 times. This would suggest that they have a defensive base. The problem for Benjamin Marwari is up front. He's not getting a tune out of his strikers regularly enough. Before this game against TelOne, they'd actually started to improve. They'd won 3 of their last 5 games. They won a 5-match unbeaten run, actually. But then, look, as we always say, you need to find goals. You need to find a way to win these games. And the fact is, Highlanders don't score enough. They always need moments of magic, actually, generally, to try and win these games. Benjani is doing very well at the back, but when you don't score, you open yourselves up to trouble. And we saw that over the weekend with TelOne actually scoring 2 minutes from time. Chelsea Nyakope with the winner there. Actually important to note that before then, TelOne actually hadn't won a game at Ascot. It gotten so bad that their coach had said maybe we need to change our home ground, maybe move to Harare, maybe move to the other stadium over there in Gweru, that's Bata Stadium. He felt that maybe Ascot was cursed. He was actually feeling that the team was so unlucky that it was now a supernatural matter. But now they managed to end that, shall we say, bad run at Ascot by beating Boso. Okay, so at the very bottom of the table, we have Triangle United, and then just above them, we have, of course, that is TelOne, and then Manica Diamonds in third, bottom, and then we have Agama. So that's your relegation zone. It's Agama, and then we have Manica Diamonds, TelOne, Triangle United. Those are the teams that are in trouble for the moment. Plenty of time for them to get out. At the top of the table, of course, is still Hard Rock leading the way on goal difference, just ahead of Scotland, and then we have Caps United. All three of those teams on 31 points, and then we have just behind them, of course, we have Ngezi Platinum Stars. So that's the situation there in the Kosoga Premier League. A three-way tie at the very top. Plenty of time, of course. We're just before the halfway stage now, so plenty of football still to be played. Scotland still have the CAF Champions League is all to come. Muntapa Cup is also going to shake things up, so we can't really make any kind of calls on who's going to end up with the trophy, who's going to go down. But yeah, that's the situation right now. All right, so time for our regular segment called The Match Zone. We usually, of course, are always joined by the legendary former Warriors captain and now Scotland team manager. That is Peter Ndlovu. But today, we thought as well that would incorporate another very important member of the Scotland squad. We have Panashe Timbanyoka playing in midfield, ensuring that the drive in the center of the park is there as well, pushing the team towards regular 3-point hauls. Okay, coach, we're coming off a very important win, another one. It was a top of the table clash. Some people were very surprised to see Herentals at the very top of the table. Thought it was going to be a difficult game given how they were scoring goals for fun. But the defense coming to our help again. 2 very early goals from Knowledge Musona, killing the game the first 20 minutes and then controlling the game from there. Just in terms of your view as team manager, we did speak to Norman Mapeza after the match, and he insisted that there is an actual decision to try and score very early goals and then kill the game from there. What's your view on that as a team manager?
Of course, that's a bottom line, because once you start well and you get goals, it's difficult for the other team to come back. This is the strategy that we instill into the players, the coach instills into the players, and really you can see it's working for us, and we just have to keep it going like that. If it's a strategy, it must show in every game that comes.
Panashe, maybe go explain it. Kuti, what does it actually come? What does it look like when your coach says to you, let's try and find 2 early goals and then let's try and then control it from there? As a player, what does it look like?
Ingorinya kuti pakutanga tinenge chiri energy. Energy inenge chitori yakawanda, saka takaisa more energy pakutsvaga magoals early, and then tositanga kumanager inenge yasara kana ta lead tositanga kumanager game.
But then tikazopinda nyaya yekuti goal difference, for example, and it tikazoudza kuti Herentals has scored maybe 5 more goals than you. Amuzoudzwe pa half time kuti ngatitsvage echi3 kana echi4 kuti totanga kudya nonzi difference yacho yema goals.
Before tatoenda ku half time tega muground tenchitoudzana kuti guys, kuwana kwataita ku2 aya ngatipushe futi oneshe mamwe tenchitoda kutogoisa akawanda, but at the same time tenchita kudefendawo zvatawana izvozvo tichichengeta.
I think also to head on to what Panashe is saying, I think as a team, Isuzu, we just have to look at winning the games, which is very important. I know goals will count at the end of the season, maybe, but the important thing is to win the games. So we don't normally, of course, before the game training and all that stuff, we'll be talking about, guys, we are 2 goals away from the leaders, and then we try and get them goals. if they don't come, we still win the game, it's fine. But obviously, we don't want to be beaten by a goal difference at the end of the day. So we must, like we always say, let's start well. Yes, we can start well and score 4 or 5 goals if we can, and then we are comfortable from then. Then they can start playing, the boys.
Panashe squad atmosphere rakamira say especially now Maku winner. There's now 4 wins in 5 games, and Makunko Goya says 2 games apiece in all of those games. Atmosphere rakamira say squad now right now because Mama I think it was 6 games msinga winning. It was some of them as well. Mangani 0-0 draws msinga go say foot, but just will change. What's the atmosphere like?
Tise titori happy. Utoti chero kutraina kwacho kwakutonakidza because kana muri musingawini chero kuenda training munochigara kuti twena trainer but at the moment zvatitori izvezvi tese titori happy chero patosvika paground tona munhu sauda to trainer utopusha kuti titoripo inguva yedu yekuti titore mapoints.
Yeah, then coach, in terms of actually now looking ahead, some very important games, of course, maybe the one which is coming up on Thursday. By the time this episode comes out, it will be Triangle United to maybe end the first round of fixtures. We understand, of course, the Honorable Sakupanya has offered a very big incentive for the players to try and finish on top of the table. It's going to be difficult with Hard Rock playing as well as they are. But let's just look in terms of Triangle United. They're a team that have been struggling all season. They're at the very bottom of the table now. So maybe there's an expectation that Scotland has to win that game. How do you think the players can deal with the pressure, if there is any pressure of beating the worst team in the league right now?
Well, you see, you must always prepare the same as you prepare as if it's okay, there's no small team for us, but the approach on the field is to say we win the game. So if we have that mentality to say they are, under at the bottom of that's not us. We have to go and win the match. So we don't take it for granted, and we know that what's at stake. The president has offered, has promised what's coming if we are finishing on top of the league half season. But look, we just want to win them. Those messages are to make us, maybe aim high. But we're not going to put ourselves under so much pressure as long as we win. Remember, if we miss this one, we're going to make him proud at the end of the season. So this is just half the season. And if we get it, we get it. And it's up to him again to see if we finish on the number of points with those that are above us. And then you can take it from there.
And then Panashe, maybe just as a player, when you hear your owner say there's so much amount of money on the line if you win your next 2 games, or it's actually now 1 game, and then you have to hope for results from elsewhere. Maybe just take us in the mind of a player. What do you feel, Pamunonzo, kuti pani 5,000 yakakumirirai if you do something?
Yeah, ndo takutara nedu yekugeto ndo patoti guys pauda chifiro
zvoreve izvozvi
kuti ngatisei zvese pane zvatakatarisa izvozvi ngatisei life yedu yese ipapapo zvese zvatinazvo ngatizisei ipapapo mabara ese ngatishudhe ipapapo.
It's true.
And then after that Triangle game, just to wrap up very quickly, you're going from the worst team in the league to right now the very best team in the league. A home match with Hard Rock. You've already experienced what it's like to play them in Kwekwe. They finished in a goalless draw. It was a very difficult encounter. You've seen what Hard Rock have managed to do since then, Peter.
Absolutely.
What do you think that game is going to be like on Sunday in terms of the expectations? Is there any pressure to send a message to Hard Rock saying that we're not going anywhere? This is our title.
I think you can talk about big teams, and this will be again the football show at its best, really. But it's also what we have to do is we just have to do our jobs. They've started very well. We respect them, but hey, come Sunday, we're not gonna give them any respect because it's what we have to gain. We have to gain the momentum. We have to gain the points. We have to gain incentives, like the Honorable has promised. So there is a lot for us. But again, we're not gonna be any under pressure. We're just gonna go and perform.
Panashe is a player, especially my double game week akadai Thursday and Sunday. How do you deal with that pressure of fatigue as well? And in the expectation could also tamba as well. I know as a player, I don't tamba every game, but Thursday, Sunday, as you on net say.
Aga, it's up fungwa. Sungwari mfungwa manje izvozvo. Kuti zvotiri kuda kuita ndezvipi. kana iwe wangosarudzwa kuti apa ndakuda kumbo weekend out handiwe, but semaplayers tinechoti iya magames yaya pano yakadai soya ndopatokasikatatya.
And also to add to what Panashe is saying, we've got a very good medical team, you know, that knows when to massage and to keep them fresh and get prepared and be ready for the next games. So all that is done proper, and that's why you see some of the times our players are very fresh, and then we start the game very good. We get the goals early, and then we manage the game. So yeah, the medical team has done a decent job.
I don't know if you're allowed to tell us this team manager, but maybe just give us an update on Peter Muduhwa. We saw him limping off in that game against the Herentals.
Well, with the blessing of the doctor, I think we saw him, you know, training, and so this is a good view, and he's in a good space, I think, to play again. Looking at how they trained, but obviously he has to be. Doesn't matter who you are, you still have to train properly to retain your place in the team.
Of course, Peter Muduhwa, part of the very best defense in the league, still having conceded just 6 times across 16 matches this season and 16 clean sheets as well, ensuring that Scotland remain very much in touch at the top of the table. I think for today, that's our very, very extended edition of the Match Zone. Thank you very much, Peter. You want to say something?
Yes, I think with big games like this coming, Hard Rock, there's only one player that is going to be very important that Sunday. I think this is our fans. You know, they always drive us, they always give us, encourage us, and I think also the players are encouraged. Even when things are not well, they were there for us, and on Sunday, we want even double that.
So I'm sure definitely the Scotland fans will turn out in their numbers for this massive game. That will be a top of the table clash with Hard Rock. Before then, though, you have to deal with Triangle United. Still a very tricky opponent, even though they are at the bottom of the table. Panashe as well. Thank you very much for coming through to Mavira Vira Football Show, and good luck with the rest of your season.
Yeah, thank you.
One love.
Before the day, there is hush. Our nation holding its breath. Then, a spark, the first beat of our nation's heart. It's the energy that moves us, the power to connect, to grow, to build, and to dream. We are the pulse in the veins of Zimbabwe. The energy that takes you further. It's a Brands Petroleum, the brand that keeps you moving.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was our stat show. Still in studio, we have Boban. Mr. Boban, do you have any final words?
Yeah, again go tender our club president, Honorable Sagpanya, ni full support ya tipa supporters. Jakaoma kudaro, but wabulamba kamera neso. As you can see, kuti our fan base is growing. So ngawarambe wane moyo uyo, ngawarambe wakatitsigira, ngawarambe chifamba neso. We are Scotland, we are Mabira to pay the border pressure nakirwa timu rangu.
Heavy. Rukudzo, thank you for anchoring the show for us today.
I tried my best.
You did fantastic,
I
brother.
tried my best.
I appreciate you so much. World Cup going off today. Any thoughts on what we should be on the lookout for?
Yeah, I think we're going to look out for. It's going to be quite the biggest. It's obviously the biggest World Cup ever. But I think definitely the weather conditions are going to play quite a huge part in this. It's going to be very hot for a lot of those games. We're going to have to see as well a few games that get interrupted by lightning and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's always about the football. Hopefully, we get some quality stuff. I'm seeing maybe Spain or Brazil lifting the trophy on the 19th of July. I think, especially in terms of Brazil, yes, people think that that nation is dead as a football country, but Carlo Ancelotti, I think as a tournament manager with the talent he has, likes of Vinicius Jr., Rafinha, Casemiro, Marquinhos, I think they can actually go far, maybe even lift the trophy again. Spain, European champions, we know what they are, we know how good they are. So I think those two teams should be the favorites.
It would be interesting to see, man. Just from a personal level, I would be hoping to see Ronaldo just get it. I know he wouldn't be like, 'cause he wouldn't be a central part of the process, but I would just love for him to have that as a cap. Mr. Boba ndaona mchiseka Rukudzo paanga achitaura muri kumhanya nani kuWorld Cup.
Messi all the way.
Oh.
Argentina fan.
Argentina.
That was my Peter Muduhwa football show. Next week.